This is the Illimitable Experience Podcast. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Illimitable Experience Podcast. If you're watching this video, like this video, and if you haven't subscribed to the channel, do subscribe to the channel. We are posting great content regularly. With that, today we have as a guest an Ivy League graduate, Rushabh Vinchhi. Hi Rushabh, how is it going?
Good. Nice to be here, Manan. How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing very well. Thank you. It's a pleasure to have you today, Rushabh. I wanted to invite a Ivy League graduate for a long time. And it was only in April or May that I realized, okay, yeah, we have Rushabh to call. And I was like, yeah, let's call him. But I'm glad you accepted my invitation to come as a guest today. And I'm looking forward to this.
Sure. I hope I have something valuable to add here or some content that people can listen to. Yeah, good to be here.
Yeah. So, Rushabh, you went to Ivy League, right? Columbia. But before that, even academically, can you just tell about your academics as to how much brilliant you are in your academics?
Brilliant. I wouldn't say that at all. I mean, I was just a regular. I mean, you've known me since school, right? And I mean, I don't think school mattered much in terms of how I got into Columbia at all. I think school was much more about like how holistically you have to develop. Then came in the junior college where I started studying for IIT, but I could not get into the IITs, but that was a good base there. Studied a lot of math, physics, and just general background in STEM, which is science, technology, engineering, and management. But yeah, so after that, I started my computer engineering in Mumbai University. So again, not that renowned of a university as such, if you talk about world rankings. So I would say it was pretty regular of me to do what I've done so far. And I don't think that whatever I've done academically mattered a lot when it came to Columbia. Yes, sure, I would say that there was a certain threshold of grades that I had to maintain throughout. But other than that, I don't think what I've done academically made more sense to Columbia.
Okay. So we'll get to the academics, in detail and the process in the later part. But first of all, can you tell me what is this Ivy League? How did it come into existence?
So actually, the thing with Ivy League is, firstly, you have to go back to like America's colonial period. So that was I think in mid 1600s when I think the first college was established, and then like between like 1650s to 1750s, some other colleges sprang up. One of which was Columbia University. So all of these pre-colonial colleges that were established, they were the first and foremost universities to receive graduates or scholars from England, be it Oxford University or Cambridge University. So they came here, they were teaching here, they were studying here, and the kind of education system that you see proliferated. And these got concentrated into these 7 or 8 colleges that are in the northeast region of USA. They started. It just so happens because they were the first and foremost colleges to do all of this. They just started playing sports with each other. They started exchanging ideas with each other, and that's how the Ivy League was born. Where the Ivy League was just a group of these northeastern 7 to 8 northeastern colleges in the US who have established a standard academic practice, a standard sports, I would say, events or standard sports curriculum. And they do this every year. They meet with each other. They have competitions among each other. But I would still say that Ivy League was born more out of like sports rather than having anything to do with like how prestigious these colleges are or anything like that. And the name Ivy actually came in because there was this ceremony during your graduation day or your class day, where the graduates would place this ivy onto their school symbol. So that's how someone referred to these colleges as ivy, because they used to have the ceremony. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So I believe ivy is a leaf, right? Because when I was doing a little bit of research for this episode, it is like a Irish leaf that you refer to.
Correct. Yes.
Right. So obviously now anything that holds that goes back in the history, 200 or 300 years, definitely has the prestige with even with the alumni that the Ivy League has produced, with so many Nobel laureates and everything. It's really great. But one thing that we as an Indian we falter to know is that when we talk about Ivy League, right? So अपना जो होता है thinking it cannot go beyond Harvard. So was Harvard the first university that was established?
Yes, I think so. I think Harvard is the oldest. I might have to do my fact checking here.
Okay, wait. I have something. Dave, can you pull up Harvard University? So it was founded in 1636, right? So I believe it was founded along with Oxford and Cambridge, because both these universities also go back to founding, in these years only, around 1600s. Yeah. So Harvard was the first. So and what other universities are a part of Ivy League?
So let's go through that list. There's Harvard, there's Yale, there is Columbia, obviously. Then there is Brown, that's 4. Then there is blanking on the name.
Or Pennsylvania.
But Princeton, and University of Pennsylvania. Yeah. I think I'm still missing one more.
And Cornell,
yes, the other one in New York. Yep. So these 8 colleges are what we call the Ivy League of universities.
And since you have been to Ivy League, inside, obviously you have interacted with people in Columbia. Why is there so much irrelevance with regards to other universities, right? Because as an outsider, even mera bhi thinking Harvard or Columbia ke beyond jata nahi hai. So the other universities which are a part of Ivy League, why aren't they so much into attention?
Actually, I would still think that so other universities, in terms of, like, let's bring up Yale. I think that university, or that Ivy League university, is still one of the most foremost universities if you want to study finance. And if you actually look at companies who want to hire new graduates into their banking or investment banking roles, they would for sure look up to colleges firstly like Yale, because their academic brilliance in the financial industry is just very well renowned. So the other aspect of why we have certain notions about these universities is because we as Indians, we do not necessarily look at or come to the US to pursue other courses like, let's say, core finance or core law, because these are the courses that do not ensure that you will get your visa after, let's say, completing your studies. So we always look at American universities in terms of, like, how they are in terms of the computer science course that they will be teaching you, or how they'll be in the terms of engineering courses that they'll be teaching you, which is why Harvard, or let's say even Columbia, take their edge, because their engineering, I feel, in my personal opinion, their engineering academics are much better than the other colleges, or the other Ivy colleges.
Okay, right.
And to give you another example, like Brown, I think it's very well renowned for journalism. So if you wanted to take up, like, journalism very seriously, you wanted to spend time with the best minds in journalism, I think you'd want to get into Brown. But as an Indian, I don't think we necessarily look at American universities in terms of, like, I want to pursue journalism here. For us, it's mostly like, I want to pursue my engineering here, or I want to pursue my MBA here. But beyond that, we do not look at other options as such. So
Right.
maybe that adds to that perception that the other colleges are not that we haven't
Great.
heard about all the other colleges.
Mm-hmm. Obviously, you have talked about Yale, Harvard, and Columbia so far, and Brown. So, what is the USP of each university? Now, I'm a lawyer. From my thing, I can tell that Yale has currently, or since 5 or 7 years, has been ranking in number 1 or number 2, overtaking Oxford and Cambridge in when it comes to law. So, I'm aware
Yeah.
of that. But other universities, what is their USP?
So again, like these are um, so there are two aspects to it. One is where you conduct your own research, where let's say, as you brought up, like Yale, these are researches that you have to do for yourself. You have to figure out what professors are teaching there, what course are they teaching there, because if that's something that you want to specialize in, that becomes the college's USP. Like, I think Yale had this Nobel laureate who was teaching finance, and I was instantly attracted to that college, because, like, if that person is teaching finance there to regular kids like me, I would be in for learning. So this is the kind of USP every colleges tries to bring out, that okay, we have this professor, or we have allocated certain funds for this kind of research, and if you're interested in that, do come here, spend time here, and you can take that forward. So that's one thing. Another thing is that if you wanted to do a general course, like, let's say, if I came into US thinking that I just want to do computer engineering, for example, then I don't think Columbia, Harvard, or the distinction between the two would matter to me that much, unless I was really interested in some professor's work or some research that was going on. After a point, I think it does become all the same, unless you do go into the nitty-gritties thinking that, okay, this is what I want to do in my life, so maybe this college will help me. So the USP kind of comes from the fact that all of these colleges have allocated resources or allocated professors doing their own research, or and then it falls on to the candidate who wants to get it to figure out, okay, this is the college I want to be in.
Okay. So I get it. So we can say that Indians who are selected in Ivy League, for them, it is more of a prestige rather than to learn from a specific professor the course that they want to learn.
Yeah. So there are both kinds of individuals. I think I have known people that have selected colleges because there are certain professors teaching certain courses that they are really interested in and are really interested in pursuing their career in. I have seen people who are like, okay, I've gotten admits from all these 5 colleges. All of them are brilliant. I might as well close my eyes and pick up one.
Correct.
So I have seen both individuals. I have also seen individuals who prioritize, and this is another USP of these colleges, who have prioritized what kind of career or what kind of jobs they'll get after graduating from the college. So let's say Columbia University is right in the middle of New York City. So if you wanted to get jobs, the way it happens in US is that you have to network with individuals. Like, let's say you find someone working at your dream law firm. So what you do is you try to get them have a coffee, a chat with you, where you sell yourself, as in you sell your expertise, you sell what your interests are, and then you kind of ask them, hey, do you have an opening in my college, in your firm? And if you do, I'd be really interested in joining your firm. So this is how the whole process of job hunting goes about in US. So what USP Columbia has is that it's right in the middle of New York City, right? So there are so many opportunities for students to connect with actual working class people who are going into offices right a train ride away. So that process of finding jobs also becomes easier for certain colleges,
right,
because there are more networking opportunities.
Now, Rushabh, apart from these Ivy League 8 colleges, universities that we have talked about, I believe there are other prestigious universities as well in the US, which I believe are not a part of the Ivy League, like MIT, Stanford, Caltech, Georgia Tech. So these, and I believe there will be more as well. I don't know the names, but these are the 4 or 5 that I'm aware of. So despite having so
Sure.
much of prestige in itself, right? Why aren't they a part of Ivy League?
So I'm not sure why the Ivy League Association or whoever is the whoever maintains this Ivy League Association has not invited other colleges to join. Maybe it's just preserving the kind of rich history that these colleges share among each other.
Mm-hmm.
And the other fact is, I don't think the other colleges like Stanford, MIT, Caltech, as you mentioned, or Berkeley, all these colleges are extremely prestigious in themselves. And I don't think even they'd want to be a part of they'd want to be part of this Ivy League association, because they have their own unique selling points. They have their own associations that they might have or they might have built with other colleges, and they would like to keep it that way.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. So you have been, and so you have been to Colombia, and the time you have, as much as time you have spent in Colombia, is it? This is a silly question that I'm asking, but was there any privileges? Ke just because you are from Colombia, you also get access to other Ivy League universities. कि मैं जरा एक बार देख के आता हूँ हार्वर्ड कैसा बना है या कॉर्नेल कैसा बना है ऐसा कुछ कि मेरे पास कोलंबिया का आईडी कार्ड है, so I'll get access to these universities करके.
Oh, not really. Actually, not really. So all the universities are open for any public that wants to check out the campus. I think all these universities have these guided tours also, where some student will take you around the campus, showing you, okay, this is the building where we study math in, or this is the building where we do our gym and whatnot. So I don't think we had any special privileges like that. But I remember, because there's another huge college in New York City, which is NYU. So the only thing that we had, just out of a matter of convenience, is that NYU students or Columbia students could use each other's libraries for studies. Yeah.
Right.
But I don't think other than that we had any sort of privileges where you just walk into Harvard and I'll be like, I want to attend a lecture here, or nothing like that. Yeah.
Okay. And when you went to Colombia, I know I think we should get to the process now. You said that you were doing like a pretty good in your academics until you got into Colombia. So what according to you, now obviously there is a little bit of luck factor involved as well in these universities. What according to you was your point that really got you into Colombia? And if you had applied to any other universities as well, right? How many admits did you get from other universities?
So yeah, I think I was, by the time I had finished my computer engineering, I was pretty sure that I wanted to do something right in between of computers or like other computer technologies like AI or machine learning and finance, because I was really interested in finance as well. And I mean, for people who wouldn't know, that finance is not a regular part of engineering subjects. It might be in some other university where you could take certain courses in finance, but at least in my university, finance as a course was not offered. So this is undergrad that I'm talking about. So what I did was I tried to prove my interest or prove my expertise in finance by taking up internships outside of my curriculum, or I would take up courses in finance, and then try to network with people about, hey, whether I'm in the right direction, this is where I want to go, etc. So this might have been a contributing factor, where my unique selling proposition to Columbia University was that, hey, I'm good in computer engineering. I can do my coding. I know my stuff in AI ML, but I also know finance very well. And if I am given this opportunity to combine both of this, I can do much better, in US, where these kind of jobs do exist. So that was my thinking about applying to Columbia University, and that's exactly why I applied for this course called financial engineering. It's not a course that you keep hearing about. It's also called quantitative finance, where it's more of like mathematics, statistics, and just general probability in modeling financial instruments. Like if you wanted to model a derivative, if you wanted to model your interest rates products, then how would you do that? So that's a kind of course that I was interested in. And for that, I had actually only applied to 5 to 6 colleges, out of which I don't think I got into CMU. But
CMU?
I did get into the other. I did not get into CMU.
No, what is CMU?
It's another huge, amazing college, Carnegie Mellon University.
Okay.
So yeah, that's the university that I did not get into, but I believe I had admits from other universities that I applied to. So I think USC was one of them, Columbia was one of them, Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech was one of them. CMU was one of them, which I did not make it into.
Okay. Now, you said that your USP proposition to the university was that you had done finance-related internships. Now, I believe there are other ways to get into these universities as well, probably sports or other things which you might be aware of. So, what are the other ways that people who don't have so much strong academics, as much as probably you must have got like 9.5 or 9.7 in that range, but they want to make it to the Ivy League, then how to make it to the Ivy League in such a situation?
I honestly don't know about this pathway as such for like us of my Indian friends who try to apply to this university, because as Indians participating in Indian universities, I think, and knowing a lot of my friends who went through the same process, it was more about grades, or it was more about building your own unique proposition to sell to the university. So I think that's one way I for sure know of getting into Columbia or other colleges, if you want to. The other process which I've heard of, and I'm don't quote me on this, but I've heard that a lot of citizens or residents of the United States can get into Ivy Leagues based on their sports performances, or based on some sort of a sports quota, where I think you have to pledge that you will play for this particular sports team. You have to maintain a certain academic rigor, and then you get drafted, let's say, into big American football, football conferences or basketball conferences or other sports that keep happening in the country.
Okay.
Yeah. So other than that, I'm not really sure as to how you would get an admit into the university. I think if you did not want to get into, like, let's say, the grades rat race, the other way I can think of is just prove your mettle in terms of research that you might do academically or in a work setting. So let's say I did not have great marks, but after I finished my undergrad studies, I went into, let's say, academics as a professor, or I joined let's say, a startup or another company. I did my own research there. I wrote amazing papers there. I broke kind of the scientific bar, pushed new ideas into the field. Then I think that's a short way of getting into such universities, because they value such contribution also.
Okay. So this is your academics is not the only one. Even the work that can contribute to it.
Yeah. I think WorkX does contribute a lot, because then you have so many other points to talk about rather than your grades, where you can talk about, okay, this is how I pushed the bar in my work setting, or this is how I brought in new projects, or this is how I pushed this scientific boundary, or I pushed in like new research there. So that's something valuable for these universities, I feel.
Now, obviously, this was from a student perspective, that what can a student do to reach an Ivy League? But the universities, right? All the 8 universities, or let's talk about Columbia only. what do they look for in a student when they want to give away the admit to the student? What is their criteria? Okay, academics hai, work X hai, sports mein acha hai, or something else also that must have he or she must have done. So what is the university's thing as well? कि अगर ये चीजें हमको दिख गई तो हम इसको देंगे.
I honestly don't know that that this is uh, it's still something that everyone has been trying to figure out, that what is that exact combination of those things that you just mentioned, that the universe will be like, okay, this is it, we got our guy or we got our girl. But uh, yeah, that's something that I haven't been able to put my finger at all. uh, but maybe somebody tells us that magic formula. I for sure can't tell you, because it's like looking at so many friends who've applied with me in my same batch. There was, as you said, that luck-based factor, that sort of randomness, where okay, why did I get this and why did someone X not get it? So that's always going to be there, and I really can't. I wish I had an answer to that.
I have a suggestion. See, since you are an engineer who is aware of artificial intelligence and machine learning, why not collect the data of the students and then maybe give out some output? कि ये सब चीजें इन लोग देखते हैं, that would make the process easier for the students.
Amazing. Yes, I will do this. I will do this right away. Yeah,
right.
I will find this data and I will do this right away. Yeah.
Great. So Rushabh, you said that the luck factor is also involved in this. Now, when I was applying for my master's, one of the consultant who I was talking to, he told me that the more quicker you apply to the what should I say, intake that you want to get into, the more your chances of getting selected. So my master's starts in September, and if I had started applying for this September 22 batch from, let's say, October or November of 21, then my chances of getting into the university increases than the guy or girl who has applied in probably March or April, around that corner. So is there some that kind of criteria that is looked into, or you must have faced कि अच्छा इसने थोड़ा late कर दिया तो इसलिए उसका नहीं हुआ करके?
No, in fact, now this is again where that luck or randomization comes into play. I know for sure that I applied super late for Columbia. I was ready with all the other universities, but with Columbia, it came to like, I think I don't remember this perfectly, but it might have been like a week before the deadline or so. So I don't think, I mean, yeah. So again, like, if there is a machine learning model to predict maybe this, I will take this into consideration to predict that. But I don't know. I mean, that's where this randomization or that luck-based factor just keeps on, it just keeps on going in our head. Like, what is that? What is that thing that differentiates someone from the other?
Right. Now you went for a master's in Columbia, right? And I believe the university also offers a lot of undergrad programs as well. And you must have had a chance to interact. Now, so far in your experience, if you were to tell a student who is in his or her 12th standard, okay, what would you suggest? Should the person go for undergrad at an Ivy League or a master's at an Ivy League?
Okay, that's honestly a lot of personal preferences. Firstly, I mean, just going into the finances, I think that's a decision that the family or that person who's trying to pursue their education has to take. Because I don't know if you've heard, like, Ivy League education is one of the most expensive education in the world. So and as far as I know, doing an undergrad is even costlier than doing your master's. So so this is the first factor that should come into play, where I got an admit, but how am I going to pay for this? So that's one factor that you have to consider. Another factor is your career progression. What do you think you want to do after your undergrad? And what do you think you want to do after your master's? So let's say some people think that, okay, I just want 4 years of amazing undergrad experience where I might want to try my hand in like these amazing sports facilities that the university offers, or access to other professors, access to certain research that they offer right in my undergrad. And if that's something that you already have in your mind in your 12th standard, then you might want to go for your undergrad. But the other group of people like me, I think, were like, okay, let's figure out my undergrad in my home country itself, where I figure out what is it that I actually like in computer engineering, what is it that I might not like, what is it that I want to stay away from, what is it that I want to dive, nose down into something. So these are the sort of thoughts that you can have in your undergrad if you do it in your home country, and then figure out, okay, if I go do my master's later, I know that this is something that I want to specialize in. So it's basically more of a personal preference, what thought process you are having at that moment in your 12th standard or your 11th standard. So I think it depends a lot on that. But I don't think there should be any sort of a pressure as to, or that fear of missing out. Hey, if I don't go do my undergrad in this particular American university, I might never make it in life. That's an extremely wrong notion to have. Or if I don't do my master's at this particular moment, it might not work out for me. I think all these sort of notions born out of fear of missing out, I would say are not something to be had in your 11th and 12th standard. Just figure out what you like, figure out what you're interested in, and then just start pursuing it.
Okay. What is now since you have talked into finances, what is an estimate difference in Indian rupees that we can figure ke agar undergrad kiya to itna and masters kiya to itna? What is the difference between the two courses?
Okay, I might have to get into the math of this. So if you actually go to all these, so any university that you want to go into, most of these universities have made their per credit cost public. So let's say this per credit cost could be anywhere between $1,000, $2,000, might even go up till $2,500 per credit. I'm sorry, I'm not getting into the rupees. I might get it after I do the whole math in dollars. But so let's say in your master's, you have to do 36 credits, for example. So multiply $2,000 on an average by 36. $72,000 might be your master's, your cost per year master's in an Ivy League university. The other universities that are some universities like Georgia Tech have they waive off tuition if you are a research assistant or if you are a teaching assistant. So then that much money is saved, per semester. On the other hand, in your undergrad, I have heard that you might have to do up till 100 credits or, more than 75 credits. So now you multiply that same $2,000, $1,500 by, let's say, 100. Not so there might be some sort of a discount or sort of a proration when you're choosing that many credits. But yeah, it turns out to be really expensive. That combined with the fact that you might have to live in dorms, or you might have to sign up for your food stamps and whatnot. This might be an extremely expensive affair.
Oh damn! So we can estimate an estimate of $75,000 to $100,000 is the range between education in Ivy League.
Yeah, for sure. So that should, I think the difference between undergrad and masters, again, don't quote me on this because a lot of universities have different fee structures, but the cost could very well run up till $50,000. That's a lot of money, yes.
And I've seen, and it is a very rarest of the rare cases that people receive 100% scholarship from whatever the university that they have applied to. So how should number one would be, how important does it become for a student to apply for these scholarships? And what is the estimate that can expect कि अगर करे भी तो like 10-20% भी मिल जाए and something like that?
Yeah, I think, see, this is money in the end of the day. At the end of the day, you want to save as much as you can. So I would highly encourage like anyone listening to this to apply to scholarships. Just reach out to your admission committee who's offering you the admit and tell them, okay, I really want to be studying here, but this is not something that I can work out. If there is a scholarship that you can provide me with, I would be highly indebted, etc., etc. These are literally the kind of messages that you can send your university. They will then refer you to the department that actually deals with scholarship. And I think getting scholarships is not very uncommon. So a lot of my friends who went to Georgia Tech University, like I mentioned this before, they went there for their computer science degree. And the I would say the hack there, or the provision there, is that you should look to become a research assistant or a teaching assistant. So these are basically roles under a professor, where you might have to do certain work for the professor, like designing the curriculum or designing your homework or correcting people's submissions that they turn in. And if you do this, you not only get salary for this, you also get your tuition waived for the whole semester. So that's obviously a lot of money that could very well run into like 50% of what you were going to originally spend. So if money is an issue, if money is something that's running in the back of your mind, I would highly encourage you to look at colleges that offer such provisions, because that will save you a huge cost. And at the end of the day, if you are graduating from a university like Georgia Tech, which is one of the best ones in the US. So yeah, you can always work such schemes. You should just do your thorough research before choosing a particular university.
And what is the chance
other than that? Other than that, there are a lot of these Indian institutions. Like I think Tata offers you one, Mahindra, KC offers you one.
We'll get to the Indian part later. Just 1 minute. Before that, what is the chance of getting 100% scholarship, and how many students do usually get per intake? Do you have any idea?
I don't think most of these numbers are made public as such. Like there isn't a sort of a class register or something that we can look up, or okay, these are the many people who received in my cohort. These are the number of people who received 100% scholarship. But it's like, yeah, you just got to try. Based on your merit, based on your academics, I'm sure the university will have some wiggle room.
Right. Now we'll get to the part, because now you did your undergrad in India and then you went to US, right? So you will have a lot to talk about the scholarships that are available in India, which you also must have availed. So what are the scholarships and what is the procedure to get these scholarships when you are applying to university in US?
Yeah. So once you have your admit from a particular US university, there are a lot of these Indian institutions, like let's say Tata. Tata has one. Maybe even after this recording, I can like send some links. I think those are links, or those are institutions that not many people have heard of, but they do offer a lot of scholarships, which are merit based. So what they do is you have to submit an application saying why is it that you need the money, why is it that you want to pursue higher education in that particular university, and what is your career goal with after receiving this money and after receiving the degree. So once you actually go through their process, they will have their own criteria that, okay, I really like this candidate, I do not like this candidate makes more sense. They invite you for interviews. I remember having an interview where they'll ask you questions about what your career goals are, why did you choose this. Some people even asked me like questions related to the degree that I was going to pursue. So these are like very academic questions. What is the probability of, let's say, X happening? Or do you know stuff about machine learning? And they'll double check that you do have that knowledge. And once all these processes are done, they offer their sum of money as scholarship. Some of them are repayable as loan. on an interest-free basis.
Okay.
While some are just outright, donations that they give out to you, which they do not expect you to return.
Oh, wow. So are these specifically only for students who are going to pursue their masters in US, or it is available for everyone who has the financial, who wants to take their financial burden off in education terms?
So again, I think so I'll have to get into the nitty-gritties to tell you about the people. So I looked at these institutions in terms of getting into US university. So I only know of that part. But if I recollect vaguely, there were provisions for people who want to do their higher studies here in India itself. So I think that's something that people should look it up, whether it's for coming to the US or whether it's just pursuing your higher education in India itself. I think there are provisions for both.
Okay, right. Yeah. So you have, what is this course that you pursued, financial engineering? And is it a course that has been only recently introduced? And when I say recently, I mean it has been 10, 15 or 20 years, such like that.
So, okay, the roots of financial engineering are in like physics. So because like if you want to model different happenings in the world of physics, you often resort to mathematics and probability and statistics. So you want some probabilistic model that can tell you, okay, this is what the temperature of the system is going to be, or where the heat's going to be at, etc. Now, what happened is a lot of these physicists joined financial firms or the Wall Street firms of New York City or of Chicago. And maybe because of like these Wall Streets paying them more money, I'm not sure what their motivation was. But many of these physicists who had spent their lives in the world of physics, modeling, and making rockets and whatnot, they decided that they want to pursue finance. And what they did is they took the exact same probabilistic model and they put it into finance. So let's say if you wanted the price of a call option, it turns out that if you use the same physics formula that you derived earlier, if you just tweak in certain parameters, you get your answer for what the price of an option is. Oh, and wow. This started happening, or this as a trend started happening in 1980s, early 1980s in the US. Like I think New York City was one of the New York City, London, Chicago, wherever these banks were. So these probabilistic tools became a handy way for pricing these securities in a very accurate manner, so that none of these financial institutions had to take up many losses on having priced an instrument improperly. So this is how I would say the field of financial engineering was born. But it kind of progressed. What the field also realized that for many of the equations that they developed, you can use machine learning to solve those equations rather than having to spend papers and papers doing that hard math. You can just plug all of that into machine learning models, and the answer will just come right about. So that field from the physics world, which in fact it still uses that physics formulas and equations that I'm talking about, it moved to like more of machine learning applications, where people started specializing in AI and certain other algorithms to figure out what the price of an instrument would be. Or in recent times, people have also resorted to like these AI and machine learning to trade. So let's say if you wanted to send out a trading signal in like microseconds, a computer system that they have developed using ML and using hardcore engineering, software engineering principles, can send out and complete millions of dollars of trade in microseconds. And they can get that sort of an arbitrage that I was the first one to discover this trade and I made a lot of money in a few microseconds. So this is that field of financial engineering and quantitative finance.
So was it always your aim that you want to do this particular course, or was it only during the undergrad years that you figured कि ऐसा कुछ करते हैं जो engineering और finance को combine करे?
Yeah, it was more in undergrad that I discovered this particular field, because like so in my undergrad, I as I mentioned this, like I really liked finance, but then there was this some thought in the back of my head that I do not want to give up on whatever engineering that I've still done, because even that's valuable in today's world. So maybe if there's something right in the middle, uh, I think that would be very ideal for me. And just so happens that financial engineering turned out to be that particular instance.
Right. So, the added question to this would be, since you are loving so much love with the finance, has it ever occurred to you at any given point in time that after your undergrad you could have done CFA or any other, such international finance courses and then go for the masters, or even after you completed your masters, ke chalo CFA kar lete hain karke?
Okay, so I was not doing CFA, but I was doing this actuaries. I'm sure you know of this. I think I also gave the entrance exam for the actuaries. I got into. I was preparing for actuaries, but after a point, I think I was in my third or final year when I was pursuing that actuary, and figured out, okay, this is taking a lot of time away from my engineering. I still have to pass, get grades, and then in that terms of balancing, it did not work out that I could, complete my actuarial studies. But yeah, I did try to pursue some amount of these courses. But yeah, but in terms of CFA, I never really. I would honestly tell you that I never really got the time to do a CFA. I would have loved to do it, but I still feel I can do it right now, but I procrastinate a lot and I don't end up doing it.
Yeah. Now we have talked a lot about the course and itself. Now let's get into a general discussion a little bit. Your first day. So how long was your financial engineering course? 1 year, 2 year?
It was 16 months, so around 1.5 years.
Okay, 1.5 year. The first day you step into Columbia, right? In your class you go to, and you see this diversity of people from all around the world. And how did you feel back then? First of all, see, academically you have been good so far, but the moment you enter the arena of the champions, right, where other champions exist, what was your feeling back then, the first day of Columbia?
One was intimidating. I was like, bro, where am I? Kidhar aa gaya aisa? The other was, and that feeling was also because there are some professors at Columbia University teaching these courses who have been the pioneers of this field. So if you mention one name, one professor is Emmanuel Derman. And if you actually read him up, read his books, he was the one who made financial engineering cool, or made financial engineering what it is today. And he was, I think I saw him there. He was talking to students just like you would regularly, and it was like for a budding cricketer, you meet Tendulkar, walking around chatting with everyone. That's the kind of feeling you get. You're obviously intimidated that kidhar aa gaya, kya bolu, kitna bolu, etc. But yeah, I think that was one of the feelings that I had. The other was of lucky, I would say, that kidhar aa gaya, abhi dekh lenge aisa.
Right.
Those are the two feelings that I had for sure.
Right.
And even I remember talking to so many people on the campus that day. Like everyone, I think, had amazing background, in academics, in their work life, in some other personal achievements that they have done. I would consider myself extremely lucky that they were there. There were so many people to look up to. Yeah, I think those were my two feelings.
Right. And when you got to interact with your peers or even your seniors who are pursuing the same course, how was there? How did they treat you? Was there a sense of condescence where they are like, okay, I'm more intelligent than this person or something like that? Were they like very, very helpful and how to push doubts, no problem? Because I have, I know it is. I know it is a wrong perception to make sometimes, but I think that people who are on lean on the hyper intellectual side, they don't consider people who are lower on their intellectual side to be as respectful as they should be. That is why I'm asking this.
So in my course, I think everyone was extremely supportive. Extremely supportive. It's like so most of these professors have these things called office hours, where let's say he taught a class today, tomorrow is an office hour. What you do is you just show up there. If you want to chat about how the weather is today, you chat about that. If you want to chat about, I did not understand this, the professor will stand up. He will do all these. I remember going up to this one professor where I told him I did not understand it at all, and that was because I was not taught about that particular concept in my undergrad. Others knew about it because they were taught about that in their undergrad. I did not. The professor in his office hours actually took so much time. He actually did a crash course on that subject and made sure that I was aware of that particular topic before moving on to the next one. So in terms of that, I think I felt extremely supported by my professors. Other than that, I think even all during all my master's degree, I leaned a lot on my seniors for networking. Like, hey, do you know someone who's working here? Because I want a referral to get into that company. Or hey, do you know how I can navigate this issue that I'm currently facing? The seniors were extremely responsive. They were like, yeah, you can do this or you can't do that. I think all the advices were genuine. So I think I was pretty lucky that way. But yeah, in terms of like talking about how intellectual these professors were and how down to earth they were when teaching a course, I think even that was again that perception that I had. Maybe I cannot fit into people who are super intellectual, but the professors made sure that perception that I had was false.
Right. And how about your peers, the batch strength and everything? Your batch, what do you?
Oh, yeah. I mean, there was a lot of people. I think most of the people were from Asia, and like talking about my Indian classmates. I think a lot of them were from IITs and BITS, so they were also very, very. I would say they. If I tell them this, they will not agree, but they were also very intellectual. So, and I learned a lot from them. So yeah, the batch. I don't think. I mean, the batch was extremely talented. You were on your toes all the time. You had to make sure that you did not fall behind, and then there were also people to help you and make sure that you do not fall behind.
Right. And we talk about diversity. How many students were there in your class, like class strength in that particular batch?
I think I would say there were around 65 to 70 people, if not more. Like I'm pretty sure it wasn't more than 100.
And what about the diversity? You obviously told that there were many Asians, but it is like, obviously it is a right thing to say that Asians are how should I put it, lean a lot towards the STEM direction. But what about the other countries? Some random country like Poland hai, ya Germany hai, ya Ukraine in that case. बाकी सब countries के कहाँ से लोग थे?
So again, so other thing is, like, if you mention countries like Germany and all that, so there are those countries also have their, their university is also premier, one of the most premier universities. Plus they offer education for free, countries like Germany or like countries in the Nordic area. So they do not necessarily have that much incentive to come to United States as such to pursue education, where they can get the same sort of education back in their home country, maybe for free. Other than that, why the Asians prefer STEM in US is because there is a provision by the US government that if you graduate from a STEM university, you get an added 2 years of a work visa, which you can use for your own training and you can learn and then go back. So that's why we lean towards getting our STEM degree because that helps you in your career, in getting that work visa or getting that first step into the workforce. But other from other countries, so again, I think there was a lot of representation from other countries, but like, and so one of the other things that I might also have a very limited view about Columbia University, because most of my time was spent either in the library or in the Columbia Engineering building. So now again, because it's engineering, there was obviously a high representation of Asians with their STEM degree. But having said that, there was also a lot of representation from other colleges, with other countries, my bad, which kind of tells you that despite having amazing education back in their home countries, they were there studying STEM, contributing to research, and kind of tells you why America still has that kind of an edge when it comes to research, when it comes to like new ideas, or when it comes to education in general. Everyone just wants to be here because the speed with which ideas are accepted here, or the standard at which you do your research, I think that's still one of the contributing factors of inviting people from other countries.
Right. And we have to, since we talk about Asians, how, if you have had a chance to interact with any Chinese, how intellectually different they are from the Indians? Because I believe their courses or their schooling is more rigorous than our Indian system. So did you like ever felt there is a huge difference, or was there like little bit difference only? Particularly the Chinese.
Yeah, I mean, it honestly depends on the person or that individual, I would say. A lot of folks that I interacted with were just generally super intellectual, and everyone had their own sort of strength. Someone was amazing at math, someone was amazing in probability and statistics. So I wouldn't say that it is how they were taught in their childhood or how the curriculum brought them up. It was just how everyone applied their own intellect in sort of understanding what they were being taught and what they then finally make of it. I think that was the differentiating point. Everyone had extremely unique qualities, I would say, and they were not necessarily linked to as you said, like the education there or the education that we have in India or somewhere else.
Right. It's a great perspective to it.
And I can say this because a lot of my classmates, like at Columbia, who are Indians, I think they were some of the best minds I've seen. Like honestly, in terms of the way they could take one idea, communicate it well, get it forward, etc., etc. I think that was amazing to see.
Now, Rushabh, I believe it is only recently in the month of May there was a, what do you call it, convocation held for Columbia. I got to know this from one of the blogs, and I believe it must have been a great moment for you and your family as well. I hope they were there to attend your convocation. Now you graduated, you have started earning, and probably it's been already been 1 or 2 years since this. Now that you step out of Columbia, right, in any particular field, when you get to take a job, how different is it that you get treated because you are from Columbia, and how different is it you get treated if you went to so the CMU University you told about, or NYU University you told about? That if I were to employ you, right, in America, and I were to see कि अच्छा एक Rushabh जो कोलंबिया से है, एक दूसरा बंदा है, सेम बंदा who has done the same course but not from an Ivy League, तो कितना difference होता है ये treatment में?
Yeah, again, like a lot of companies at their individual level have these target schools.
Okay.
That these are the set of colleges that we'll give let's say first base preference to students applying from there. So, and it turns out that whatever I've experienced so far, I've known many friends from other universities, like let's say the university I just mentioned, CMU, USC, Georgia Tech. I think in terms of STEM, what I've seen is I don't think there's a lot of importance placed to Ivy League University. Like let's say if someone was a software engineer and that person claimed to be from Columbia University, I don't think a lot of people would bat an eyelid. Okay, you're from Columbia University, so what? Can you design this system that we want right now? If so,
Okay.
you're hired. Otherwise, maybe not. So that's the kind of treatment that I've seen among universities. Like, I think it's more about, okay, yeah, sure, you're from Columbia, you're from CMU. Just colleges are like tick mark one aspect of your career. It does
Okay.
not matter that, okay, I'm going to choose someone from Columbia even though he or she might not know certain concepts,
Mm-hmm.
just because they're from Columbia. I think
Gotcha.
primary importance is placed on how well you do in your interviews, how well you network, how well you communicate your ideas. And yeah, so I don't think Ivy University that way uh, pulls that sort of a weight for me at all.
Gotcha. And in terms of payment to the employee, is there a difference or they are always at par? कि ठीक है CMU से या Columbia से you will get paid as
Yeah,
much as your worth.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, pay negotiations are just on an individual and company level. So you have to, like, let's say you have to convince your employer that this is how much I get paid right now. Just like how it happens in India, I guess also that uh, this is how much I'm getting paid right now, but I feel I'm worth more because of the work that I do. You can't be like, just because I've graduated from Columbia or an Ivy League university, can you be
Yeah.
like, okay, increase my pay? Yeah, that I don't think anyone would encourage that sort of a view. You'll
Right.
be looked down upon, I feel. Yeah. It's that snobbish Ivy League culture that people keep joking about. That yeah, I'm from an Ivy, but hey, yeah, can you spin up a huge software engineering system? If so, you're hired. Yeah,
Oh, okay. Right.
that's
I think
that's that's the sort of an idea there.
I think my perception is still raw now that you're explaining all these, ground reality about everything. Uh, why? Because if see, I have not been to US. Okay, I don't. I only started researching about the Ivy League because you were coming as a guest, and I was under the impression कि okay, yeah, बड़ी चीज होती है, ये लोग जाते हैं ये वो करके. But I think it is an Indian thing to look at the university from a prestige point of view rather than the education point of view, right?
Yeah,
So in that
yeah.
way, I think my opinion is wrong. But how do the US people, right, when the Native Americans look at Ivy League, कि उनको भी उतना ही determination होता है कि मेरा बच्चा Ivy League से करे, या it is only people from Asia who are so determined to get into that university?
No, I think there is always this draw or a pull from Ivy League universities because the education there at the end of the day is amazing. So that education or that network or that sphere of professors do not go away that easily, which is why they'll always remain attractive. But I wouldn't. So if I was from let's say some of my US friends' perspective, these universities are more about like once you know that okay, this is an amazing university as well. Like let's say if I wanted to do my if I was a US citizen or a US resident brought up in US and I said I wanted to do machine learning as a career, then sure I would apply to some Ivy League university like Harvard or Columbia. But I would also be very much excited about universities on the West Coast, which are like Berkeley or Stanford or Caltech, because these universities on the West Coast are some universities that have the best professors there again. The companies that hire you are in and around that area, so that's how those become attractive. So it really for I think for everyone, it's more like okay, this is the university that offers me the best education in what I want to do in life. And it might happen that Ivy League University might be one of that universities that happen to fulfill their career decisions or their career choices. So it's like because Ivy League universities have put in so much money, put in so much effort in curating the professors that they have, the academics that they have, they might end up on the list, the dream list for some of the other individuals. But I wouldn't say that that's an exclusive list just for Ivy League universities. There are so many other universities who might arguably be better for someone else.
Right. Rushabh, it was a pleasure to host you today. And thank you for giving the information that is relevant to get into, obviously with the luck factor involved, to get into the Ivy League. And it was great hosting you. And yeah.
Yeah, it was amazing being here. I think you asked a lot of relevant questions. A lot of people have, and I hope it adds some value. Yeah, thanks for calling me here.